A rude gym trainer publicly humiliates an elderly Asian man, forcing him through embarrassing exercises while the entire gym watches and laughs. The arrogant bully makes fun of the old man's fake kung fu moves, calling them dancing and movie nonsense. But when the man's daughter walks in and gasps, "Dad, what's happening?" the trainer's blood runs cold, because this quiet grandfather is Jackie Chan himself. The trainer has just spent 20 minutes mocking one of the greatest martial artists who ever lived, right in front of 300 people. While the bully desperately tries to backtrack, claiming he was just having fun, Jackie quietly accepts his challenge to face the gym's undefeated MMA fighter. The trainer's smug grin returns as he watches his prized student step into the ring, thinking Hollywood magic can't survive real violence. But he's about to learn why legends never fade, and why you should never mistake kindness for weakness. What happens when a fake tough guy realizes he just picked a fight with living history? Will the trainer survive watching his fighter get schooled by a man twice his age? What happened next would shatter the bully's ego for the rest of his pathetic life. Before we jump back and tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The Arizona sun beat down mercilessly on the asphalt parking lot as a modest silver rental car pulled into a space outside Iron Peak Fitness. The driver stepped out with fluid grace that belied his 69 years, a man of average height wearing simple gray sweatpants, white sneakers, and a navy polo shirt. Nothing remarkable about him except for the perfect posture and the way he moved, each step deliberate and balanced. Jackie Chan paused beside his car, observing the gym's intimidating exterior. Aggressive marketing posters covered the windows, featuring hulking trainers flexing beneath slogans like "No pain, no gain," and "Weak minds quit." The bass-heavy music thumped through the glass doors, and even from the parking lot, he could see chrome equipment gleaming under harsh fluorescent lights. That a slight commotion caught his attention. An elderly woman, Mrs. Dorothy Brennan, struggled with a torn grocery bag, oranges rolling across the hot pavement. Without hesitation, Jackie moved to help, his movements efficient and courteous as he gathered the scattered fruit. "Oh my, thank you so much," Dorothy said, studying his kind face. "Such good manners. I wish my grandson showed half your courtesy." "My pleasure," Jackie replied softly, his accented English warm with genuine concern. "Are you hurt?" "Just my pride," she chuckled, accepting his steady hand as she stood. "You're very kind." Jackie helped load her remaining groceries into her car, then bowed slightly, a gesture so natural she almost missed it. As Dorothy drove away with a grateful wave, Jackie turned back toward the gym entrance. The lobby's aggressive atmosphere hit him immediately. Pounding music mixed with the clang of weights and grunted exertions. Chrome and mirrors reflected harsh lights that made everything seem cold and unwelcoming. Young professionals in expensive workout gear dominated the space, their conversations loud and competitive. Jackie approached the front desk where a kind-faced woman with graying blonde hair looked up from her computer. Her name tag read Linda, and unlike the intimidating atmosphere around her, her smile was genuinely welcoming. "Good morning," she said warmly. "How can I help you today?" "Good morning," Jackie replied with a polite nod. "I would like a day pass, please. I am visiting my daughter and wish to maintain my exercise routine." Linda Kowalski's smile brightened. Despite the language barrier, something about this quiet man's demeanor impressed her. "Of course. Welcome to Iron Peak. Is this your first time with us?" "Yes, I am new to Phoenix." Jackie stretched unconsciously as he spoke, his movements displaying an unusual flexibility that caught Linda's attention. "My daughter Beverly is a doctor here. Very busy, so I thought I would not disturb her schedule." Behind them, several gym members had stopped their workouts to stare. Brad Hoffman, a real estate agent in designer athletic wear, nudged his workout partner Tony Martinez. "Check out the old Asian guy," Brad whispered, not bothering to lower his voice. "What's he think he's gonna do here?" Tony snickered. "Probably looking for a senior center and got lost." Jackie's hearing was excellent, but his expression remained serene. Years of dealing with ignorance had taught him that dignity was its own response. Linda shot the men a disapproving look before turning back to Jackie. "Don't mind them. Let me get you set up." Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. "We have all the amenities: cardio equipment, free weights, group fitness. Classes. Tuesday mornings can get pretty busy with our, more intense members, but everyone's friendly enough. I require very little, Jackie assured her. Perhaps some space to stretch, light weights. I do not wish to interfere with others. Nonsense. You paid for access, same as everyone else. Linda printed his temporary badge, noting how he stood, perfectly balanced, alert but relaxed. The locker rooms are just down that hall, and the main floor is through those double doors. If you need anything, just ask. Jackie accepted the badge with a grateful bow that made Linda smile. You are very kind, Miss Linda. Thank you. As he turned toward the locker rooms, heavy footsteps approached from the training area. The temperature in the lobby seemed to drop as other members instinctively made way. Derek Stallworth emerged from the trainer's office like a force of nature. At 6'2", with artificially enhanced muscles straining against his tight black, Iron Peak staff shirt, he commanded attention through sheer physical presence. His buzz-cut hair, aggressive posture, and predatory grin had intimidated countless gym members into submission. Behind him trailed his usual entourage, fellow trainers Kyle Peterson and Marcus Webb, both eager to bask in Derek's reflected dominance, plus his most devoted clients. Vanessa Caldwell, a society woman whose husband's money bought her access to Derek's exclusive training, hung on his every word. Businessman Roger Fleming nodded along with Derek's pronouncements, desperate to be accepted by someone he perceived. As an alpha male, Derek's eyes immediately locked onto Jackie, sizing him up with the predatory instinct of a schoolyard bully. Here was someone who didn't belong. Older, quieter, clearly not part of the gym's aggressive culture. Well, Derek announced loudly enough for the entire lobby to hear. What do we have here? Linda looked up from her computer, her jaw tightening. Derek, I'm talking to Grandpa. Derek cut her off, his voice dripping with false friendliness. He stepped closer to Jackie, using his height advantage to loom intimidatingly. You sure you know what kind of gym this is? Pops. Jackie met Derek's gaze calmly. I believe it is a fitness facility. I would like to exercise, if that is acceptable. Derek's followers snickered at Jackie's formal English and slight accent. Exercise, Derek repeated mockingly. This isn't some community center, old man. We do serious training here. Real training. I understand. Jackie replied with patience that would have impressed a saint. I will not disturb anyone. I simply wish to maintain my health. Maintain your health. Derek laughed harshly. At your age? Maybe you should stick to mall walking and bingo nights. This place might be a little too intense for someone who's lived through the Carter administration. Vanessa tittered at Derek's joke while Roger nodded approvingly. Kyle and Marcus exchanged glances, slightly uncomfortable but unwilling to challenge their leader. Jackie's expression remained perfectly composed. I appreciate your concern for my welfare. Perhaps you could direct me to an appropriate area? Derek's grin widened. This was going exactly as he'd hoped. Public submission from someone who clearly didn't belong. Tell you what, Grandpa, why don't you head on home and find a nice senior center? I'm sure they've got water aerobics or something more your speed. That's enough. Derek, Linda interjected, her voice sharp with disapproval. But Derek was already in his element, feeding off his audience's attention. No, Linda. Customer service, remember? Derek's tone became mockingly solicitous. I've got a responsibility to make sure everyone here is safe. Can't have people getting hurt because they don't know their limitations. Jackie remained perfectly still, hands clasped behind his back. I understand your concern. However, I would still like to use the facilities I have paid for. Paid for? Derek's eyebrows shot up theatrically. Well, since you put it that way. He gestured toward the main gym floor. Come on then, Pops. Let's see what you've got. The lobby had grown quiet, other members sensing drama. Derek led Jackie through the double doors into the main workout area, his entourage following like eager hyenas. The gym floor fell silent as heads turned to watch the unusual procession. Derek positioned Jackie near the stretching mats, a central location where everyone could see. All right, Grandpa, show us this exercise routine of yours. But let's start with some basics, just to make sure you're up to it. Jackie moved to the stretching area and began a gentle warm-up routine. His movements were graceful and precise. What appeared to be simple stretching incorporated subtle elements of traditional martial arts forms. Each motion flowed into the next with liquid smoothness that spoke of decades of practice. Derek watched for 30 seconds before beginning his commentary. What is this dancing? His voice carried across the suddenly quiet gym. This looks like some kind of Tai Chi nonsense. Are you practicing for the Senior Olympics? Pops. Laughter rippled through Derek's supporters. Even some neutral members smiled, caught up in the social pressure Derek wielded so expertly. Jackie continued his routine, unperturbed. When he moved into a more complex form that resembled traditional kung fu movements, Derek's mockery intensified. Oh, I get it now, Derek announced to his growing audience. We've got ourselves a martial arts master here. Probably learned this stuff watching old movies. What's next, Grandpa? Gonna show us some of that movie magic. Jackie completed his form and straightened, meeting Derek's gaze with quiet dignity. I would simply like to continue my workout in peace. Derek stepped closer, his bulk casting a shadow over the older man. Peace? In my gym? I don't think you understand how things work around here. Derek was in full performance mode now, playing to his audience with the skill of a practiced bully. The entire gym had stopped to watch, creating an impromptu arena around Jackie and his tormentor. Since you're so concerned about safety, Derek announced with false authority, I think we need to do a proper fitness assessment. Can't have you collapsing on our equipment and creating liability issues. He guided Jackie to the center of the gym floor, positioning him where everyone could see. Let's start with some basic movements. Nothing too strenuous for someone your age. Derek made Jackie demonstrate simple exercises while providing a running commentary designed to humiliate. Touch your toes, Pops. Let's see if those ancient joints still work. When Jackie bent forward with perfect flexibility, Derek dismissed it. Okay, so you can bend. That's something, I guess. Now let's try some arm circles. Nice and easy. Wouldn't want you to throw out a shoulder. Jackie's movements were precise and controlled, displaying a range of motion that should have impressed any fitness professional. Instead, Derek continued his mockery. Jumping jacks next. Think you can handle it without breaking a hip? When Jackie performed the exercise with fluid grace, Derek just shook his head dismissively. Well, you're not dead yet. That's progress. The crowd was growing. Some members looked uncomfortable. Linda behind the front desk wore an expression of disgust, and a young man named Jimmy Brennan kept glancing around as if looking for someone to intervene. But Derek's core supporters were eating it up, their laughter encouraging his increasingly cruel performance. Push-ups now, Derek commanded. Let's see what kind of upper body strength we're working with here. Jackie dropped into position and performed a set of perfect push-ups, his form textbook despite his age. Derek knelt beside him, counting loudly and adding commentary. 1. That's pretty good for a fossil. 2. Don't strain yourself now. 3. Maybe we should call a paramedic just in case. When Jackie incorporated subtle martial arts elements into his exercises, a slight adjustment of hand position here, a different breathing pattern there, Derek pounced on it immediately. There it is again, he announced to the crowd. More of that movie kung fu stuff. This isn't a martial arts studio, Grandpa. This is a real gym where we do real exercise. Jackie stood and faced Derek calmly. I have completed your assessment. May I now use the equipment? Derek made a show of considering this request, stroking his chin thoughtfully while his audience waited for the verdict. Well, he said finally, I suppose you can use some of the beginner equipment. Nothing too advanced, mind you. We wouldn't want you to hurt yourself trying to keep up with real athletes. Derek wasn't finished with his show. He guided Jackie to the center of the gym floor, his voice carrying to every corner of the facility. All right, everyone, gather around for a little educational demonstration. We're going to learn about proper form and realistic expectations. The entire gym had stopped to watch now. Free weights hung suspended mid-rep. Treadmills ran empty as their users stepped off to observe. Derek positioned Jackie where the overhead lights would cast the harshest shadows, creating his perfect stage. Let's continue our fitness assessment. Derek announced with theatrical authority. Jumping jacks first. Nice and slow, we don't want any cardiac events. Jackie performed the exercise with fluid precision, but Derek provided running commentary designed to humiliate. 1, 2, looking a little shaky there, Pops. 3. Maybe we should have a defibrillator standing by. Vanessa Caldwell giggled behind her manicured hand, while Roger Fleming nodded approvingly at Derek's performance. Kyle and Marcus exchanged uncomfortable glances but said nothing, unwilling to challenge their leader's authority, when Jackie naturally incorporated subtle martial arts breathing techniques. Derek pounced immediately. "Hold up. What's with all the fancy breathing? This isn't meditation class, Grandpa. Just do regular jumping jacks like a normal person." Next came sit-ups. Derek made Jackie lie on the mat while he knelt beside him, counting in an exaggerated voice. 1. Not bad for someone who probably fought in World War II. 2. Easy does it. Don't want to throw out your back. 3. Should we call your daughter to pick you up after this? Jackie's form was perfect, his core strength evident despite his age. But Derek dismissed every display of competence. Push-ups. Now, let's see if those bird arms can handle your body weight. When Jackie dropped into position and performed flawless push-ups, Derek continued his cruel commentary. 1. Wow, actual push-ups. 2. Don't strain yourself. 3. Maybe there's hope for you yet. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some laughed at Derek's jokes, caught up in the mob mentality. Others, like Linda and Jimmy Brennan, watched with growing disgust. "There we go," Derek announced as Jackie finished. "Basic fitness assessment complete. You can use the senior-friendly equipment now. Nothing too challenging. We wouldn't want you to embarrass yourself trying to keep up with real athletes." Jackie finally found refuge at a leg press machine in the corner, grateful to escape Derek's spotlight. He adjusted the weight to far below his actual capability, better to avoid further confrontation than demonstrate his true strength. The gym's atmosphere gradually returned to normal, though curious glances still followed his movements. 11:15 a.m., the front doors opened with a gentle chime. Dr. Beverly Chan entered wearing mint green scrubs, her stethoscope draped around her neck. She moved with quiet confidence through the lobby, nodding to Linda behind the desk. "Is my father here?" Beverly asked, scanning the gym floor through the glass partition. "Yes, he's been working out for about an hour," Linda replied, her voice carefully neutral. She gestured toward the leg press area, over there by the windows. Beverly's trained eye immediately assessed the situation. The gym felt different, too quiet, with an undercurrent of tension she couldn't identify. Several members kept glancing toward her father's corner, their expressions ranging from curious to uncomfortable. She approached Jackie, switching to Cantonese as she neared. "Ba, how are you feeling? Everything okay here?" Jackie looked up with genuine pleasure at seeing his daughter. "Fine, fine," he replied in English, conscious of their audience. "Just getting some exercise between your shifts." "How was the hospital?" Beverly studied his face, reading the subtle signs of stress only a daughter would notice. "Busy morning in pediatrics. Are you sure everything's all right?" "You seem." "I am well," Jackie assured her, patting her hand gently. "These people have been very attentive to my needs." Derek had been watching from across the gym, and Beverly's arrival presented an irresistible opportunity. He approached with his trademark swagger, flanked by Kyle and Marcus. Well, Derek announced loudly. "Must be visiting hours. You here to pick up Grandpa?" Beverly turned, her professional demeanor shifting to protective daughter mode. "Excuse me, just wondering if you're here to collect your old man," Derek continued, his voice dripping with false concern. "We've been taking real good care of him, making sure he doesn't overdo it. You know how seniors can be. They don't always recognize their limitations." Beverly's eyes narrowed as she processed Derek's tone and the gym's strange atmosphere. "I'm Dr. Beverly Chan," she said coolly. "And this is my father." "Doctor, huh?" Derek's grin widened. "Well, Doc, maybe you can explain to your dad that this isn't exactly the right kind of gym for someone his age. We do serious training here." Across the gym, Tony Martinez had been studying Jackie's face since Beverly arrived. Recognition dawned slowly, then hit him like lightning. "Holy shit," Tony breathed, loud enough for nearby members to hear. "That's Jackie Chan." The words hit the gym like a thunderbolt. "Jackie Chan? The Jackie Chan." Conversations stopped mid-sentence as heads swiveled toward the leg press machine. Members pulled out phones, frantically Googling images to confirm what seemed impossible. Derek's confident smirk faltered as the recognition rippled through the crowd. His face cycled through confusion, disbelief, then growing horror as the reality sank in. The old man he'd been humiliating for the past hour was one of the most famous martial artists in the world. No way, breathed Vanessa Caldwell, staring at her phone screen. Oh my God, it really is him. Beverly closed her eyes briefly, recognizing the end of their peaceful morning. Jackie remained seated at the leg press, his expression resigned but patient. Fame had followed him for decades. He knew how to handle these moments. Yes, Jackie said simply, his voice carrying across the suddenly silent gym. I am Jackie Chan, but I am also just a man who wanted to exercise quietly while visiting his daughter. The gym erupted in whispers and excited murmurs. Several members approached cautiously, phones raised for selfies. Jackie stood gracefully, accepting the attention with his characteristic gentle smile, while Beverly positioned herself protectively beside him. Derek's mind raced desperately. The humiliation was complete. He'd spent an hour mocking a living legend in front of hundreds of people. Panic drove him to damage control mode. Jackie Chan, Derek announced with forced enthusiasm, approaching with outstretched arms as if greeting an old friend. Man, you really had me going there. I knew something was up. Nobody moves like that without serious training. Jackie tilted his head slightly, studying Derek's obvious desperation. You knew? Well, I suspected. Derek lied, his voice too loud. And too bright. I mean, the way you moved during those exercises? Classic Jackie Chan fluidity. I was just, testing your commitment. Seeing if you'd break character. The crowd wasn't buying it. Linda rolled her eyes from behind the desk, while Jimmy Brennan shook his head in disgust. Even Derek's core supporters looked embarrassed by his transparent attempt to rewrite history. I see. Jackie replied diplomatically. You were very thorough in your testing. Derek forced a laugh that sounded hollow in the gym's acoustics. Hey, I had to make sure. Can't have people thinking the great Jackie Chan gets special treatment, right? Everyone gets the full Iron Peak experience. Jackie nodded slowly, then delivered his response with characteristic grace. I appreciate your dedication to equal treatment. It has been very educational. The weight of his words settled over Derek like a shroud. Derek's forced cheerfulness was cracking under the pressure of 300 staring faces. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the gym's air conditioning. He needed to salvage this situation, to somehow turn his massive humiliation into a victory. So, Jackie, Derek continued, his voice growing more desperate. I bet our members would love to hear some stories. About the real difference between movie fighting and actual combat. Jackie raised an eyebrow at the obvious bait. I am not sure I understand your meaning. Well, everyone knows the movies are just choreography, right? Wires and special effects and stunt doubles doing the real work. Derek's voice carried across the gym, drawing nods from some members who'd never considered the distinction. I mean, no offense, but there's a big difference between Hollywood and reality. Beverly stepped closer to her father, sensing danger in Derek's tone. Jackie remained perfectly calm, but something shifted in his posture, a subtle change that Linda noticed from her position behind the desk. Actually, Derek continued, gaining confidence from his audience's attention. We've got a Real fighter who trains here. Crusher Morrison, 15-8 in MMA, totally undefeated in exhibition matches. Now that guy knows what Real fighting looks like. He gestured toward a promotional poster featuring a muscular young man in fighting gear. Crusher's got an exhibition match this Saturday at the community center. Educational stuff, showing proper technique to the community. Maybe you should come check it out, Jackie. See how it's really done. The challenge hung in the air like smoke. Derek was walking a tightrope between respect and provocation, gambling. That Jackie would decline and prove his point about movie stars versus real fighters. An exhibition match, Jackie repeated thoughtfully. That sounds interesting. Derek's confidence grew. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Local talent showcasing real martial arts for the community. Of course, it's probably not your style. I mean, no. Scripts or rehearsals, Jackie stood and approached Derek slowly, his movements fluid and controlled. The gym fell completely silent, sensing the shift in dynamics. When he spoke, his voice was soft but carried clearly. Mr. Derek, Jackie said politely, are exhibitions open to visitors? Or only for observation? Derek's mouth went dry. This wasn't how the conversation was supposed to go. Crusher's always looking for good sparring partners. Then, I would be honored to participate, Jackie said simply. If your fighter would not mind demonstrating techniques with an old movie star. The gym exploded in shocked murmurs. Derek stood frozen, trapped by his own arrogance and the crowd's expectant stares. He'd challenged Jackie Chan to a fight, and Jackie had just accepted. Wednesday morning found Derek pacing his cramped apartment like a caged animal, his phone pressed against his ear. Empty protein shake containers and motivational posters couldn't hide the desperation in his voice as he waited for Crusher Morrison to answer. Crusher, man, thank God. Listen, I've got a situation that could make us both rich and famous. Craig Morrison, better known as Crusher, was eating breakfast at his kitchen table when Derek's panicked call came through. At 26, with a respectable 15-8 MMA record, Crusher was more technique than terror, a solid local fighter who'd never quite broken into the big leagues. What's going on, Derek? You sound weird. Weird? Dude, I've got Jackie Chan wanting to spar with you at Saturday's exhibition. Jackie freaking Chan. Crusher nearly choked on his cereal. Wait, what? The movie guy? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Derek's voice cracked with barely contained hysteria. He showed up at the gym yesterday, and now he wants to prove something. This could be huge for both of us. Think about the publicity. While Derek spun his version of events, carefully omitting his own humiliation, news was already spreading through Phoenix's interconnected communities. At Beverly's house, Jackie practiced gentle forms in her backyard, his movements fluid despite the morning heat. Bah, you don't have to do this, Beverly said, watching her father's careful stretches. That trainer was just being an idiot. Jackie paused his routine. Sometimes, daughter, a man must stand for principles larger than himself. I cannot let disrespect go unanswered, not for my sake, but for others who cannot defend themselves. Beverly understood. Her father had spent his career using his platform to promote respect and dignity. This wasn't about ego, it was about sending a message that bullying had consequences. Across town, social media buzzed with speculation. Phoenix's Asian communities, particularly the Vietnamese and Chinese immigrants who'd grown up watching Jackie's films, began planning to attend Saturday's exhibition. For them, Jackie represented more than entertainment. He was proof that their culture produced heroes at Iron Peak Fitness. Derek posted hastily printed flyers around the gym. Crusher Morrison versus Jackie Chan. Hollywood versus reality. Saturday, 2 p.m., Community Center. His hands shook slightly as he taped each one up, reality finally sinking in that he'd challenged a legend to a fight, and now he had to deliver. Wednesday morning found Derek pacing his cramped apartment like a caged animal, his phone pressed against his ear. The reality of what he'd done was sinking in with crushing weight. He'd humiliated Jackie Chan, actually humiliated him, and now faced the consequences. Crusher, man, thank God you answered, Derek said when Craig Morrison picked up. I've got an opportunity that's going to make us both rich and famous. Craig, Crusher, Morrison was finishing breakfast when Derek's panic call interrupted his morning routine. At 26, with a solid 15-8 MMA record, Crusher was a competent local fighter, more skilled than spectacular, but reliable in the ring. Derek? You sound stressed, man. What's going on? Stressed? Dude, I've got Jackie Chan wanting to fight you at Saturday's exhibition. Derek's voice climbed an octave. The actual Jackie Chan challenged one of my fighters. Crusher set down his coffee mug slowly. Wait, what? The movie star? You're joking. Derek launched into his carefully edited version of yesterday's events, portraying himself as the mastermind who'd engineered this publicity goldmine. He conveniently omitted his own humiliation, instead painting Jackie as a desperate celebrity seeking attention. This is our big break, Crusher. Think about it, you. Beating Jackie Chan goes viral. Everyone wants to know who trained the guy who exposed Hollywood's biggest fake. We'll have our own reality show within 6 months. Meanwhile, news of the upcoming exhibition spread through Phoenix's tight-knit communities like wildfire. At Beverly's house, Jackie practiced traditional forms in her backyard, his movements precise despite the morning heat. Bah, you know you don't have to prove anything to these people, Beverly said, watching her father's careful routine. Jackie paused mid-form. This is not about proving anything, daughter. Sometimes a man must stand for principles that matter more than personal comfort. Beverly nodded, understanding her father's deeper motivation. This wasn't about ego or fame. It was about dignity, respect, and showing that bullying would not be tolerated. Across Phoenix, Asian communities buzzed with excitement and concern. For Vietnamese and Chinese immigrants who'd grown up watching Jackie's films, he represented cultural pride and proof that their heritage produced heroes worthy of worldwide respect. Derek spent the afternoon posting flyers around Iron Peak Fitness. Crusher Morrison versus Jackie Chan, Saturday, 2 p.m. His hands trembled slightly with each placement, the weight of his gamble becoming real. Thursday morning at Iron Peak Fitness felt different. Word had spread through social media overnight, and the gym buzzed with an energy Derek hadn't anticipated. Instead of the respectful awe he'd expected for orchestrating such a spectacle, many members seemed more interested in Jackie than in Derek's role as matchmaker. Linda greeted Jackie warmly when he arrived for his second day pass. "Mr. Chan, I hope yesterday wasn't too overwhelming. Derek can be intense." "Miss Linda, you have been nothing but kind," Jackie replied with his characteristic grace. "I appreciate your hospitality." As Jackie began his gentle warm-up routine, several members approached respectfully for autographs and pictures. Mrs. Dorothy Brennan arrived with her grandson Jimmy, recognizing Jackie from their parking lot encounter. "You," she exclaimed with delight. "The gentleman who helped me with my groceries. I had no idea. My grandson made me look you up on the internet. I've seen all your movies." Jimmy Brennan, the young amateur boxer, stepped forward shyly. "Mr. Chan, I just wanted to apologize for how Derek treated you yesterday. That wasn't right." Jackie's response was immediate and gracious. "You have nothing to apologize for, young man. We cannot control others' actions, only our own responses." Linda quietly approached during a lull in the attention. "Mr. Chan, I hope this isn't presumptuous, but I have some martial arts background, karate, mainly. If you'd like any support for Saturday's exhibition, I'd be honored to help." Jackie's eyes brightened with genuine appreciation. "That is very generous. I would welcome your assistance." Jimmy overheard and stepped closer. "I box a little if that helps. Nothing fancy, but I know my way around training." Word of Linda and Jimmy's offer spread quickly through the gym's informal network. Tony Martinez, who'd initially laughed at Derek's mockery, approached Jackie during his workout. "Mr. Chan, I wanted to apologize for yesterday. Derek's got this whole alpha male thing going, but what he did was wrong. If there's anything I can do to help." Derek watched this gathering support with growing alarm. His plan to isolate and humiliate Jackie was backfiring spectacularly. Instead of proving his dominance, Derek had inadvertently created a coalition against him. "This is ridiculous," Derek muttered to Kyle and Marcus. "The guys got them all starstruck. Wait until Saturday, Crushers. Going to bring everyone back to reality." But even Derek's core supporters seemed less enthusiastic than usual. Vanessa Caldwell had been notably quiet since yesterday's revelation, while Roger Fleming kept glancing nervously toward Jackie's growing circle of supporters. Derek's carefully constructed kingdom was beginning to crumble. Friday morning transformed Beverly's backyard into an unlikely training ground. Linda arrived early with her father, Frank Kowalski, a wiry 68-year-old former Golden Gloves boxer whose hands still moved with surprising speed. Jimmy Brennan brought Master Lu, a 75-year-old Tai Chi instructor from the local Chinese Cultural Center. "This is quite an honor, Mr. Chan," Master Lu said in Mandarin, bowing respectfully. "I have studied your films for their authentic technique." Jackie returned the bow with deep respect. "Master Lu, the honor is mine. I would welcome your guidance." What followed was unlike any training session Derek could have imagined. Jackie moved through his routine with fluid precision, adapting traditional techniques to account for his age while demonstrating creativity that left his helpers speechless. Using Beverly's stepladder as a training prop, Jackie showed how any environment could become part of his arsenal. He practiced defensive positions using the garden hose as both rope and whip, demonstrated leverage principles with paint cans, and turned lawn furniture into obstacles that showcased his legendary agility. "Incredible," Frank muttered, watching Jackie redirect an imaginary attack using the ladder's momentum. 60 years of boxing, and I've never seen anything like this." Jimmy worked the heavy bag Beverly had installed, but kept stopping to watch Jackie's improvisation. How do you think of this stuff so fast? Practice, Jackie replied simply. In movies, we learn to use everything. Chairs, bottles, ladders, even food. Real fighting is just applying those same principles. Linda held focus midst while Jackie demonstrated hand techniques, marveling at his precision. Your control is amazing. You could hurt someone badly, but you're holding back so much power. Power without control is just destruction, Jackie explained between combinations. True martial arts protects, it doesn't destroy unnecessarily. Master Lu led the group through breathing exercises, teaching Jackie techniques for maintaining energy during prolonged combat. At our age, wisdom must compensate for declining physical ability. Jackie nodded thoughtfully. Saturday is not about proving I can fight like a young man. It is about showing that experience and technique can overcome raw aggression. Beverly brought lunch for the group, watching her father's obvious enjoyment of the teaching process. This training session had become something larger, a cultural exchange between generations and fighting styles. Bah, you're really enjoying this, she observed. Jackie smiled, practicing a gentle defensive sequence with Master Lu. When fighting serves a purpose larger than ego, it becomes something beautiful. As the afternoon wound down, Jackie felt confident not about victory, but about representing his principles with dignity. His supporters shared that quiet confidence, understanding they were witnessing something special. Friday evening at Derek's apartment felt like a war council planning an ambush. Crusher Morrison sat uncomfortably on the threadbare couch, while Derek paced frantically, outlining his strategy for tomorrow's exhibition. Here's the thing, Crusher, this isn't really about fighting anymore. This is about exposure, reality versus Hollywood fantasy. Derek's eyes gleamed with desperate inspiration. I've got Steve Patterson from Phoenix Sports Blog coming to film everything. This goes viral. We're both set for life. Billy Watson, Derek's friend and tomorrow's referee, nodded from the kitchen counter. I can make sure the rules favor Crusher's style. Nothing illegal, just interpretive officiating. Crusher shifted uncomfortably. I don't know, man. The guy's like 70 years old. Seems kind of messed up to hurt an old celebrity. Hurt him. Derek laughed harshly. Crusher, this is Jackie Chan we're talking about. He's been faking fights for 50 years. All wires and camera tricks and stunt doubles. You think he's actually going to try to hurt you? Derek pulled up YouTube videos on his laptop, showing Jackie's movie fights. Look at this stuff, pure choreography. The man's never been in a real fight in his life. All you have to do is pressure him a little, and he'll fold like wet cardboard. Billy Watson leaned forward. Derek's right. I've seen actual fighters try to do movie stuff in real situations. It never works. Too flashy, no real power behind it. Derek sensed Crusher's wavering resolve and pressed his advantage. Think about this, man. You're 26, in the best shape of your life, trained by me personally. He's 69 years old and probably hasn't done anything more dangerous than autograph signings in 20 years. What about all those stories about him doing his own stunts? Marketing. Derek snapped. Hollywood marketing designed to sell tickets. You think insurance companies would let actors do really dangerous stuff? Come on, Crusher, use your head. Derek sweetened the deal with promises of easy money and guaranteed publicity. Win or lose, you're going to be famous after tomorrow. But win, and you'll be the guy who exposed Hollywood's biggest lie. Meanwhile, at Iron Peak Fitness, Derek worked late into the evening, implementing subtle sabotage. He revoked Jackie's day pass access, claiming insurance liability issues. Ensuring tomorrow's exhibition would be Jackie's only appearance. He also scheduled all the gym's best training equipment for maintenance, making it unavailable if Jackie wanted to prepare. Derek's remaining supporters, Kyle, Marcus, Vanessa, and Roger, helped spread carefully crafted rumors about Jackie being desperate for attention and too old for this nonsense. As Derek finally headed home near midnight, he felt confident his plan would work. Tomorrow would restore his reputation and provide the viral content that would launch his career into the stratosphere. He turned his humiliation into opportunity. And Jackie Chan was about to learn the difference between Hollywood and reality. Saturday morning at the Phoenix Community Center buzzed with unusual energy as volunteers transformed the main hall into an exhibition venue. Derek arrived at 9 a.m. with a rented truck full of professional equipment, cameras, lighting rigs, and sound gear that seemed excessive for a simple martial arts demonstration. "This is going to be huge," Derek told Steve Patterson, the sports blogger who'd agreed to document the event. "We're talking viral video material here. Hollywood versus reality, fake fighting versus the real deal." Derek had restructured the entire event around his narrative. What started as a friendly exhibition now featured professional lighting designed to favor Crusher's imposing physique while casting harsh shadows on Jackie's age lines. Derek positioned cameras at angles that would make Jackie appear smaller and more fragile. By 11 a.m., Jackie arrived with Beverly and his growing support network. The community center parking lot was already half full. Word had spread through Phoenix's diverse communities faster than Derek had anticipated. Asian families arrived with multi-generational groups, treating this as a cultural celebration rather than a simple sporting event. Derek intercepted Jackie at the entrance, his false enthusiasm barely masking his desperation. "Jackie, great to see you, man. Listen, I've made some adjustments to the exhibition format. You know, to make it more professional." He led Jackie to a makeshift contract table. "Just some basic terms here. Standard liability stuff, but also some performance clauses." Derek's voice carried across the growing crowd as he explained the new stakes. "If you can't complete the exhibition, for safety reasons or whatever, you'll need to publicly acknowledge that maybe this wasn't the best idea. Just for insurance purposes." Jackie read the contract carefully while Beverly frowned over his shoulder. The language was deliberately humiliating, requiring Jackie to apologize for disrespecting real athletes and promising never to return to Iron Peak Fitness if he couldn't finish the match. "And if I complete the exhibition successfully?" Jackie asked mildly. Derek forced a laugh. "Then I donate my $2,000 training fee to the Phoenix Senior Center. Fair deal, right?" The crowd had grown to over 300 people, including local media who'd caught wind of the unusual matchup. Derek worked them like a carnival barker, setting expectations that favored his narrative. "Ladies and gentlemen," Derek announced, "today we separate Hollywood fantasy from athletic reality." The community center had transformed into something resembling a gladiatorial arena. Over 400 people packed the space beyond its intended capacity, with local news crews setting up equipment near Derek's predetermined camera positions. The energy was electric but tense, split between genuine Jackie Chan enthusiasts and curious skeptics drawn by Derek's aggressive marketing. Derek basked in the media attention, positioning himself as the architect of this historic confrontation. "What we're going to see today," he told Channel 12's sports reporter, "is the difference between real athletic ability and Hollywood illusion. Crusher Morrison represents authentic martial arts training versus, well, movie magic." Jackie remained calm in his designated corner, surrounded by his unlikely support crew. Linda adjusted hand wraps while Master Lou led breathing exercises. Jimmy Brennan and Frank Kowalski flanked Jackie like seasoned cornermen, their respect for the legend evident in their careful attention to his needs. "How are you feeling, Bob?" Beverly asked, checking her father's pulse out of medical habit. Jackie's vital signs were remarkably stable for a man his age facing potential combat. "I feel prepared, daughter. Whatever happens today, we will face it with dignity." At 1:45 p.m., Crusher Morrison made his entrance. Derek had choreographed this moment carefully. Crusher emerged from the equipment room wearing professional fight gear, his 6 feet 1 inch frame and conditioning making him look formidable under the harsh lights. The crowd's murmurs shifted noticeably. As people processed the size difference between the fighters, Crusher looked genuinely uncomfortable with the spectacle Derek had created. "This feels weird, man," he whispered to Derek. "Look at all these people. This isn't what I signed up for." "Are you kidding?" Derek hissed back. "This is your moment. Everyone's going to know your name after today. Just stick to the plan, pressure him early, make him look foolish, then finish it clean." Referee Billy Watson called both fighters to center ring for final instructions. The crowd fell silent as Jackie and Crusher stood face to face. Youth versus experience, raw power versus refined technique. Jackie offered the traditional martial arts bow of respect. Crusher, despite Derek's coaching, found himself returning it automatically. Something in Jackie's eyes, not fear, but a kind of patient wisdom, made Crusher suddenly question everything Derek had told him about Hollywood fighters and fake techniques. "Gentlemen," Billy Watson announced, "this is a friendly exhibition. We're here to demonstrate technique and sportsmanship." Derek's satisfied grin suggested he expected neither. The exhibition began exactly as Jackie had hoped, a respectful demonstration of martial arts principles between generations. For the first 10 minutes, it resembled a master class more than a fight, with Jackie using defensive positioning and footwork to turn Crusher's aggressive attacks into teaching opportunities. "See how he telegraphs that right cross?" Jackie commented to the crowd while slipping Crusher's punch effortlessly. "In real combat, you must watch the shoulders, not the hands." Crusher, initially confused by Jackie's educational approach, began to relax and enjoy the experience. Jackie's legendary agility was on full display as he demonstrated principles of distance, timing, and leverage that textbooks couldn't capture. "Your stance is excellent," Jackie told Crusher during a brief pause. "But try shifting your weight slightly forward. It will give you better balance for combinations." The crowd watched in fascination as Jackie caught Crusher off balance and gently helped him recover, drawing applause for his sportsmanship. This wasn't the humiliation Derek had promised. It was a genuine martial arts seminar with two willing participants that Derek's frustration built with each passing minute. His cameras were recording Jackie looking competent, wise, and completely in control. The narrative of helpless celebrity versus real fighter was crumbling before his eyes. "This is boring," Derek shouted from ringside. "Come on, Crusher. Show him some real pressure." Crusher glanced toward Derek, then back at Jackie, who was demonstrating a beautiful counter technique using Crusher's own momentum against him. For a moment, Crusher seemed torn between Derek's demands and his growing respect for Jackie's obvious skill. Jackie noticed the conflict and spoke quietly. "You are very talented, young man. Your teacher has given you excellent fundamentals, but technique serves character, not the other way around." The crowd was thoroughly enjoying themselves, cheering Jackie's graceful movements and Crusher's increasingly respectful responses. Master Lou beamed from ringside, while Beverly recorded everything on her phone, proud of her father's perfect balance of skill and wisdom. Derek realized his plan was failing spectacularly. Instead of exposing Jackie as a fraud, the exhibition was showcasing exactly why Jackie Chan had become a legend. Desperate measures were required. During the next brief pause, Derek approached referee Billy Watson with urgent whispers and meaningful glances toward his camera setup. The friendly exhibition was about to become something much more dangerous. When the exhibition resumed after the brief water break, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. Billy Watson's officiating became noticeably more permissive, allowing Crusher contact that crossed the line from demonstration to actual fighting. Derek's frantic gestures from ringside had clearly communicated new instructions. Crusher, pumped up by Derek's encouragement and the crowd's energy, abandoned the respectful pace Jackie had established. His strikes carried real power now, forcing Jackie into purely defensive mode as the friendly exhibition transformed into genuine combat. "That's it, Crusher," Derek shouted. "Show him what real fighting looks like." Jackie adapted smoothly to the changed dynamic, but his defensive posture was misread by some spectators as weakness. Derek worked the crowd expertly, pointing out every moment where Jackie seemed to struggle or retreat. "See that? Hollywood magic doesn't work when someone's actually trying to hit you." Derek's commentary influenced the more casual observers. Though Jackie's supporters recognized his tactical brilliance in neutralizing Crusher's size advantage, the turning point came when Crusher landed a solid combination that staggered Jackie backward. The crowd gasped as their hero absorbed real punishment for the first time. Billy Watson's count was deliberately slow, giving Crusher time to follow up with more aggressive techniques. Derek's premature celebration was infectious among his supporters. "This is it. This is reality beating fantasy." Jackie caught himself against the ropes, his breathing slightly labored. For a moment, the 70-year-old man looked every bit his age against Crusher's youthful power. Beverly half rose from her seat, her medical training recognizing genuine distress. Crusher pressed his advantage, landing another hard combination that sent Jackie stumbling. The exhibition had become a real fight, and Jackie was losing. Derek's cameras captured every moment of what he believed would be his vindication. Then Billy Watson made his crucial error. As Jackie went down from Crusher's final combination, the referee began his count with theatrical slowness. 1, 2, 3. The crowd held its breath. Beverly gripped Linda's arm. Master Lou closed his eyes in prayer. 7, 8. Derek was already giving impromptu interviews to Steve Patterson's camera, declaring victory for reality over Hollywood illusion. 9. Jackie's eyes opened. But something had changed in his expression. The patient teacher was gone, replaced by something far more dangerous. That famous mischievous smile spread across his face as he rose to his feet with fluid grace. Now, Jackie said quietly to Crusher, I understand the rules we're really playing by. Jackie lay motionless on the canvas as Billy Watson's count echoed through the suddenly quiet community center. Derek was already in full celebration mode, giving animated interviews to Steve Patterson's camera about reality versus Hollywood fantasy, while Crusher stood uncertainly over Jackie's prone form. This is what happens when movie magic meets authentic martial arts, Derek declared to the recording device. 50 years of fake fighting just got exposed in under 20 minutes. Beverly pushed against the barrier separating spectators from the ring, her medical training screaming that something was wrong. But Linda held her back, whispering urgently, wait. Look at his breathing. Look at his eyes. Indeed, Jackie's breathing was controlled, deliberate. His eyes were open but focused inward, not showing the confusion of someone truly unconscious. He was listening, processing, understanding exactly what kind of game Derek had orchestrated. 6, 7. Billy Watson continued his theatrically slow count, milking the moment for Derek's cameras. Crusher looked down at Jackie with growing concern. This wasn't the easy victory Derek had promised. The old man had absorbed serious punishment, and Crusher was beginning to feel like a bully rather than a legitimate fighter. 8. Master Lou sat rigidly in his seat, hands clasped in prayer. Jimmy Brennan and Frank Kowalski exchanged worried glances. The crowd that had come to celebrate a legend was witnessing what appeared to be his humiliation. Derek's victory speech grew louder and more triumphant. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just witnessed the end of an era. The myth of Jackie Chan has been 9. Jackie's transformation was instantaneous and complete. He rolled smoothly to his feet in one fluid motion, his previous signs of fatigue vanishing like smoke. The patient's smile was gone, replaced by something that made Crusher instinctively step backward. Now I understand the rules, Jackie said quietly, his voice carrying clearly through the silent arena. His stance shifted subtly but significantly, from defensive teacher to something far more dangerous. Crusher swallowed hard, suddenly realizing he was no longer facing a tired old man. He was facing Jackie Chan. Derek's celebratory monologue died in his throat as he turned to see Jackie standing calmly in the center of the ring, that legendary mischievous glint back in his eyes. That Jackie's transformation was like watching a master craftsman finally pick up his tools. Every movement became purposeful, economical, devastating. When Crusher charged forward, expecting to continue his advantage, Jackie simply wasn't there anymore. The ring itself became Jackie's weapon. He used the corner post as a launching point, vaulting up and over Crusher's rush with the agility that had made him famous. The crowd erupted as they finally witnessed the movie magic they remembered. Except this time, it was completely real. Crusher spun around, disoriented, only to find Jackie behind him. A gentle tap on his shoulder sent Crusher stumbling forward into the ropes, his own momentum working against him. Jackie hadn't thrown a single aggressive strike, yet Crusher was already off balance and confused. This is impossible, Derek muttered, watching his carefully planned narrative crumble. He's 70 years old. Jackie demonstrated why age was irrelevant when technique was perfect. He caught Crusher's next punch, redirected it toward the ring post, then used Crusher's committed weight to send him stumbling sideways. Every surface became part of Jackie's arsenal. Ropes for leverage, turnbuckles for deflection, even the canvas itself for positioning. The crowd was on its feet now, finally seeing the legend they'd come to watch. Jackie's signature environmental fighting style was in full display as he turned Crusher's size and strength into liabilities rather than advantages. Your footwork is excellent, Jackie commented conversationally while avoiding another wild swing, but you're fighting angry now. Anger makes you predictable. Crusher threw a combination that would have flattened most opponents, but Jackie flowed around it. Like water, ending up beside Crusher with one hand resting gently on his shoulder. See? When you telegraph your intentions, your opponent can read your movements 3 techniques ahead. Derek shouted increasingly desperate instructions to Crusher, but Jackie's improvisation made conventional training useless. How do you prepare? For an opponent who uses the referee's chair as a stepping stone while teaching you proper breathing techniques? Beverly watched her father with a mixture of pride and amazement. This was the Jackie Chan the world knew. Creative, fluid, seemingly impossible. But underneath the spectacular movements was pure martial arts mastery, decades of training distilled into perfect technique. Now do you see? Jackie asked Crusher gently as he caught him in a position where any movement would result in a fall. Real fighting isn't about anger or dominance. It's about understanding. Crusher, breathing heavily and completely outclassed, could only nod in stunned respect. What followed was perhaps the most unusual fight in exhibition history. Jackie dominated completely, but he did so while teaching. Between techniques, he offered genuine advice that Crusher found himself absorbing despite the surreal circumstances. Your guard drops when you get frustrated, Jackie observed while avoiding a haymaker punch. In real combat, emotion is your enemy's greatest weapon. Crusher attempted a takedown, but Jackie's footwork made him miss entirely. Good attempt, but you committed too early. Watch. Use your opponent's expectation against them. Jackie demonstrated by feinting toward a takedown defense, then simply stepping aside as Crusher overcompensated. The younger fighter found himself grappling with empty air while Jackie stood calmly beside him. Real strength protects others, Jackie continued, his voice carrying to the mesmerized crowd. It doesn't seek to destroy or humiliate. Your teacher has given you excellent physical training, but he forgot to teach you why strength matters. The educational component was devastating Derek's credibility. Every exchange proved Jackie's superiority while simultaneously showing Crusher's potential under proper guidance. Derek's narrative of old fraud versus young reality was being systematically dismantled. This is insane, Derek shouted from ringside. Crusher, stop playing around. Finish him. But Crusher was beginning to understand something profound. Every time he attacked with genuine intent to harm, Jackie's response taught him something about timing, distance, or leverage. This wasn't humiliation. It was the most valuable lesson he'd ever received. You have real talent, Jackie told Crusher during a brief clinch. But talent without wisdom becomes mere brutality. Your trainer taught you to fight. I want to show you how to be a martial artist. The crowd watched in fascination as combat became education. Master Liu beamed with pride, recognizing the highest expression of martial arts philosophy. Even some of Derek's supporters began to understand they were witnessing something special. Crusher, exhausted but enlightened, found himself nodding respectfully. I understand, sir. I've been fighting wrong. Not wrong, Jackie corrected gently while demonstrating a beautiful counter technique. Just incomplete. Fighting is easy. Anyone can learn to hurt others. Martial arts teaches you when not to fight, and when you must fight, how to do it with honor. Derek realized his fighter was being converted by his opponent, exactly the opposite of his intended outcome. Desperate measures were required. Derek's carefully constructed plan was dissolving before his eyes. Instead of exposing Jackie as a fraud, the exhibition had become a masterclass in everything Derek despised: respect, wisdom, and genuine skill triumphing over aggression and ego. When Jackie caught Crusher in a gentle but inescapable hold, demonstrating superior technique without causing harm, Derek's composure finally shattered completely. Stop this exhibition, Derek shouted, vaulting over the barrier and approaching the ring. This isn't safe. The old man could get hurt. Jackie maintained his hold on Crusher while addressing Derek calmly. I am quite safe, thank you. Your student is learning valuable lessons about control and respect. Lessons. Derek's voice cracked with hysteria. This is supposed to be a real fight, not some philosophical bullshit. Crusher, stop listening to him and finish this. Derek tried to climb into the ring, but Billy Watson moved to block him. In his desperation, Derek attempted to trip Jackie as he released Crusher from the demonstration hold. The mistake was immediate and spectacular. Jackie's peripheral vision caught Derek's movement. and his response was purely instinctive. In one fluid motion, Jackie caught Derek's extended leg, used his attacking momentum against him, and sent the would-be gym alpha tumbling backward through the ropes. Derek's undignified flight ended with him landing unceremoniously in Mrs. Dorothy Brennan's lap. The 78-year-old woman looked down at him with profound disgust before delivering a verbal haymaker that echoed through the community center. "Young man," she declared in a voice that silenced the entire crowd, "you are a disgrace to every teacher who ever tried to instill character in you. Now get off me before I forget I'm a lady." The crowd's laughter was immediate and merciless. Derek scrambled to his feet, his carefully cultivated tough guy image completely destroyed. His shirt was torn, his hair disheveled, and his face burned. With humiliation, Billy Watson, reading the room's mood shift, suddenly began officiating with strict fairness. Derek's remaining supporters, Kyle, Marcus, Vanessa, and Roger, stepped away from him, their association with his behavior now a liability rather than an asset. Crusher stood in the center of the ring, looking between Jackie and Derek with new understanding. The contrast was stark. Jackie remained calm and dignified despite the chaos, while Derek raged impotently from the crowd. "Mr. Chan," Crusher said formally, "I apologize for my part in this deception. Would you be willing to teach me the right way to fight?" Derek's kingdom had officially fallen. Crusher Morrison stood in the center of the ring, his chest heaving from exertion and his mind reeling from revelation. The contrast between Jackie's calm dignity and Derek's hysterical rage had crystallized everything he'd been struggling to understand about martial arts versus mere fighting. "Mr. Chan," Crusher said, his voice carrying clearly through the silent arena, "I need to apologize to you and everyone here." Jackie approached with his hand extended in friendship. "You fought with honor, young man. There is nothing to apologize for." "Yes, there is," Crusher insisted, accepting Jackie's handshake gratefully. "You could have seriously hurt me at any point, but you chose to teach instead. That's real strength, something I'm just beginning to understand." Derek's voice cut through the moment from his position in the crowd. "Crusher, what are you doing? We had a plan." Crusher turned to face his former trainer, his expression mixing disappointment with newfound clarity. "That's what I need to apologize for. Mr. Chan, Derek didn't just promise me money to fight you. He promised me extra to humiliate you on camera." The crowd gasped collectively. Derek's face went ashen as Crusher continued his confession. "He told me you were just a washed-up movie star looking for attention. He said it would be easy money to make you look foolish and prove that Hollywood fighting was fake." Crusher's voice grew stronger with each word. "He even coached me on specific techniques designed to embarrass you rather than fight fairly." Beverly stood up in her section, her medical training recognizing the signs of someone unburdening themselves of genuine guilt. Linda gripped Jimmy Brennan's arm as the full scope of Derek's manipulation became clear. Derek planned to use the footage to launch his own training business, Crusher revealed. He said humiliating Jackie Chan would make us both famous and rich. Derek's remaining supporters, Kyle, Marcus, Vanessa, and Roger, stepped away from him with visible disgust. The man they'd followed had revealed himself as not just a bully, but a calculating manipulator willing to exploit both his student and an elderly celebrity for personal gain. "Mr. Chan," Crusher concluded, "would you consider teaching me what martial arts really means?" The community center erupted in angry murmurs directed at Derek, but Mrs. Dorothy Brennan's voice cut through the noise like a sword. The elderly woman stood slowly, her small frame somehow commanding the attention of 400 people. "I have lived through 7 decades, she began, her voice carrying clearly without amplification, "and I have seen many kinds of men. But rarely have I witnessed such a perfect example of what happens when strength serves selfishness instead of service." Derek tried to slink toward the exit, but Dorothy's words held him frozen like a spotlight. "This young man," she gestured toward Derek, "represents everything wrong with our society. The belief that might makes right, that bullying equals leadership, that exploiting others is somehow admirable." Her voice rose with moral authority that transcended her small stature. "You, sir, are a coward who preys on the vulnerable and corrupts the innocent." The crowd's applause was thunderous. Patricia Hartwell, Iron Peak fitness owner, pushed through the crowd with a face like stone. She'd been watching from the back, initially planning to support her employee, but Derek's exposed manipulation had revealed the toxic culture he'd created at her business. Derek Stallworth, Patricia announced formally, "You are terminated immediately. Your behavior has been a disgrace to everything Iron Peak Fitness claims to represent." The applause intensified. Derek's sponsorship deals evaporated instantly as Vanessa Caldwell and Roger Fleming publicly withdrew their endorsements. His core supporters, Kyle and Marcus, turned their backs on him literally and figuratively. Furthermore, Patricia continued, "Linda Kowalski is hereby promoted to head trainer, effective immediately. She understands that real fitness builds character, not just muscle." Steve Patterson, the sports blogger, approached Derek with his camera. Any comment on the allegations about planning to humiliate Mr. Chan for viral content? Derek's response was a mumbled denial as he pushed past the crowd toward the exit. His carefully constructed empire of intimidation had collapsed in minutes, leaving him exposed as the insecure bully he'd always been. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Senior Center director gratefully accepted Derek's forfeited $2,000 fee. Community members, inspired by the day's events, spontaneously donated an additional $5,000 to support senior programs. Justice had been served not through violence, but through the exposure of truth and the community's collective rejection of Derek's values. 1 week later, Iron Peak Fitness had transformed completely under Linda's leadership. The aggressive "no pain, no gain" atmosphere had been replaced with respect, discipline, growth, banners that reflected the gym's new philosophy. Jackie stood before his first official martial arts class, a diverse group that would have been impossible under Derek's reign. Master Lou sat in the front row next to Jimmy Brennan, whose amateur boxing had improved dramatically through Jackie's philosophy of technique over aggression. Crusher Morrison served as assistant instructor, his transformation from Derek's student to Jackie's apprentice symbolizing everything the new approach represented. Martial arts, Jackie began, his voice gentle but commanding attention, is not about defeating others. It is about defeating the worst parts of ourselves: anger, pride, the desire to dominate rather than serve. The class included teenagers, middle-aged professionals, and several seniors who'd been intimidated by the gym's previous culture. Beverly watched from the observation area, proud of her father's ability to find purpose in teaching rather than retirement. Jackie demonstrated techniques using the same environmental creativity that had made him famous, but now each lesson carried deeper meaning. See how we turn aggression into opportunity? This is not just fighting technique. This is life philosophy. Crusher worked with younger students, teaching them respect alongside technique. His experience with Derek had made him passionate about preventing others from following that destructive path. Linda had implemented policies emphasizing respect and inclusivity, making Iron Peak Fitness welcoming to people of all ages and abilities. The gym's membership had actually increased as word spread about the cultural transformation. Meanwhile, Derek worked as a janitor at a budget gym across town. His inflated ego was slowly deflating through honest work that taught him humility he'd never learned through dominance. The journey toward genuine self-improvement would be long, but he'd finally begun it. Remember, Jackie concluded his class, true strength protects others. When we use our abilities to lift others up rather than tear them down, we become more than just athletes. We become examples of what humanity can achieve. His students bowed respectfully, understanding they were learning far more than fighting techniques. 3 months later, the transformation was complete. Jackie's martial arts program had become a cornerstone of the Phoenix community, with regular exhibitions that brought together diverse groups who might never have interacted otherwise. The monthly demonstrations at the community center drew hundreds of spectators who came to see Jackie's students showcase traditional forms alongside practical applications. Crusher Morrison had become Jackie's assistant instructor, his teaching emphasizing the character development Derek had never understood. Derek occasionally drove past Iron Peak Fitness during his lunch breaks from janitorial work, watching through windows as the community he'd tried to dominate flourished without him. He'd lost significant weight, gained humility, and begun taking night classes and counseling, slowly learning that true strength came from helping others rather than controlling them. The changes in Derek were gradual but real. His encounters with genuine hardship and honest work were teaching him lessons that Derek the bully had never learned. The journey toward redemption would take years, but he'd finally begun walking the right path. Jackie's influence extended far beyond the gym. Master Lou had regained confidence in teaching traditional forms. Jimmy Brennan had improved his boxing through martial arts principles, and Linda had created a fitness culture based on mutual support rather than intimidation. The final scene unfolded in the gym after a particularly successful class. Jackie stood alone, cleaning up equipment with the same care he brought to everything. In the mirror, he caught his reflection, not just his own face, but the reflection of everyone whose life he'd touched. Students of all ages had found confidence. Bullies had learned respect, and a community had discovered that strength meant something far greater than physical power. His famous movies had entertained millions, but this quiet teaching in a phoenix gym was touching lives in ways that would ripple through generations. Jackie winked at his reflection, that same mischievous spirit that had made him legendary, but now channeled into something even more meaningful than entertainment. Heroes didn't retire, they just found new ways to inspire others to become heroes themselves. The legend continued, one student at a time. If you liked the story, please watch another story on our channel and subscribe to the channel.